by the president's allies could set back the 2019 midterm polls, and opposition lawmakers are not pleased. Investigators of the botched Mandaluyong police operation reveal the story out there may not be the whole picture. And characters from two hit US TV series join forces for the very first time. We begin with the surprise announcement of House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez that the 2019 elections may not happen. Joyce Ilas tells us why and how one of the framers of the Constitution is reacting.
If he could have his way, House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez would convene Congress into a constituent assembly this month to rewrite the Constitution. Before it adjourned in December, the House of Representatives was still discussing a resolution on a constituent assembly. In the Senate, there is no movement on the issue. Alvarez says that if Congress convenes this January, he would suggest the creation of a technical working group composed of experts from the academe to draft a new constitution within 3 to 4 months. Congress can again convene as a constituent assembly to discuss and approve the draft charter and hold a plebiscite to approve it simultaneously with the barangay elections in May.
Pagka nagtrabaho lang talaga lahat, walang imposible. Kayang gawin.
Opo. Sir, tapos meron ding mga accusations na baka il-railroad daw ulit yung pagpasa nitong bagong constitution.
Alam mo, lumang tugi na yan. Lahat naman ng batas, sinasabi palagi ng opposition, nire-railroad.
Alvarez wants to make the term of local government officials longer and lift the term limit on them.
Wala sa akin, katukuhan yung term limit eh. Yun ang nag-breed ng dynasty. Yung husband tatakbo, yung asawa kakandidato. Pagkatapos ng asawa, nagbabayis yung isa.
Alvarez says a transition period will take place after the plebiscite, which may result in the cancellation of the 2019 elections. This means elected officials will remain in their seats until the next elections in 2022.
Definitely, ni Pangulong Duterte, hindi na po hahaba yan. Talaga mag-i-expire ng 2022 at magkakaroon tayo ng halalan sa 2022.
But for Senate President Coco Pimentel, the transition may last beyond 2022. Hence, there might be a need for President Duterte to extend his term. One of the framers of the 1987 Constitution, Attorney Christian Monsod, believes Alvarez's timeline is too tight unless Congress railroads its passage. He also warns about the possibility of having an authoritarian president during the transition period, which could last a decade. He explains while the states or regional governments are in transition, power would be concentrated in the federal government or with the president.
Every time people have absolute power, things go wrong. And absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Monsod says before a plebiscite is conducted this year, there is a need for the public to understand first the current constitution and what federalism is, in order to make an informed decision once they are asked to vote on it. Joyce Ilas, CNN Philippines.
Liberal Party Senator Bam Aquino says a no-election scenario come 2019 is possible if the planned shift to federalism pushes through this year. Speaking to CNN Philippines, Aquino rejects no-L. He adds a midterm election is an auditing of the first 3 years of the current administration. That's why it's important.
I am hoping we will have a 2019 election. I think it's important na magkaroon ng chance yung mga tao na iboto yung mga taong gusto nila. Now, again, we're talking about the output. It begins with, will the Senate agree or not to form a constituent assembly? I think
Yun muna.
that's the question.
For Senate President Coco Pimentel, it would only take a 3-year transition period to shift to a federal form of government. Senator Kiko Pangilinan sees a 10-year transition period without elections and the term of officials will be extended. Senator J.V. Ejercito said it might be difficult to make people accept that there will be no elections. After holding off the announcement yesterday, Malacanang reveals President Duterte has fired another official for going on what he describes as junkets. Marina Administrator Marshal Amaro III was sacked for alleged excessive foreign travel and receiving honorariums during the trips. Our senior correspondent Ina Andalong has this story.
Finally, the much-anticipated announcement.
The President has tasked me to announce that he has terminated the services of Mr. Marcial QC Amaro, Administrator of Marina.
Another official sacked. This time, it's the head of the Maritime Industry Authority, or Marina. The reason? Too many junkets. This doesn't sit well with President Duterte, who has repeatedly warned officials against going on foreign trips.
I'd like to highlight that all of the trips except for one are official. But the point of the President is we have to be selective in the trips that we will undertake, and that definitely 24 travels is excessive.
The President looked into Marshal Amaro's trips after receiving a complaint supposedly from the Alliance of Marina Employees. This group of Marina employees denied sending the complaint, but this doesn't seem to matter now since the President went on to task the Transportation Office to investigate. The complaint says Amaro went on 11 junkets, but it turns out it was actually 24, 18 in 2017 and 6 in 2016. 3 of the trips were sponsored, the rest paid for by the government.
Almost all the trips, he received honorarium and other sums for his trips abroad.
Amaro, responding to the complaint which called him an absentee administrator, justified his trips, saying he's been able to discharge his official duties, adding that his travels were in fulfillment of his obligations as head of the Marina. Presidential Decree 474, which creates the Marina, says the President may only remove the administrator upon the Marina Board's recommendation. No recommendation has been made.
If there's such a requirement, then the board has to act.
Amaro is the latest government official who's been sacked by the President and among those who got fired over junkets. Before him, Presidential Commission for the Urban Poor Terry Ridon was fired for going on 7 trips in 3 months. Former Dangerous Drugs Board Chief Jonicio Santiago was also questioned for going on unnecessary travels. Malacanang is clear there's a crackdown on officials, high-ranking or not, who are fond of going abroad. Ina Andolong, CNN Philippines.
Yesterday, Malacanang issued an order stressing that government officials will only be allowed to go on foreign trips if these are strictly within their mandate, if it's not expensive, and if the official has secured a travel authority from the head of agency. All agencies are also required to regularly submit to the Office of the Executive Secretary a list of all travel authorities it issued. The Transportation Department reacts to the termination of Marina head Marshal Amaro. In a statement, the department says it respects the decision of the President, adding that it trusts that his decision is, quote, just, fair, and unprejudiced. The department, which is the umbrella agency of Marina, vows it's looking into the affairs and performances of all its attached offices and will not in any case tolerate corruption and excesses in government service. More local news later on in the show. Here are some top stories from around the world. A bomb cyclone or a powerful winter storm is set to hammer areas in the east coast of the United States Thursday. Forecasters say 13 states will see threatening hurricane-force winter wind gusts and blinding snow. By the end of this week, parts of the Northeast will be colder than Mars. Officials say at least 12 people have died in the U.S. in cold-related deaths. A bomb cyclone happens when a cyclone has a big drop in atmospheric pressure over a short period of time. North Korea once again called the South on Thursday to ensure their recently reopened hotline is stable. On Wednesday, the two Koreas reconnected over the phone for the first time since February 2016 after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered to open the line and establish communications. The North called through the direct line 3 times in less than 24 hours. The major breakthrough in Korean relations was triggered by Kim's willingness to begin talks on the possibility of sending delegates to next month's Winter Games in Pyeongchang. Thousands of pro-government demonstrators took to the streets of Iran as they continue to show their solidarity with the regime. This comes on the heels of the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard claiming that anti-government protests are over. Authorities have detained at least 450 people, while 21 others have been killed in the unrest. The protests began last Thursday over Iran's stagnant economy and the rising cost of living, but had developed into a broader outcry against the government. Not the complete picture. That's how one investigator describes the stories out there on the failed police operation in Mandaluyong. And find out what authorities are doing to make sure no one's taking advantage of the tax reform law.
Ipinag-utos na ng pamunuan ng Armed Forces of the Philippines sa kanyang mga tauhan na ituloy ang offensive military operations laban sa New People's Army. Ayon kay AFP Chief of Staff General Ray Leonardo Guerrero, lifted na simula kahapon ang SOMO o Suspensions of Military Offensive na idiniklara noong holiday season. Kaya naman, balik ang militar sa pakikipagbakbakan laban sa New People's Army.
Effective January 2, di ba? 6 p.m., lifted na yung ceasefire. So we have already instructed yung mga units natin to resume yung ating offensive military operations. So this is nationwide, not only for Mindanao.
Sinabi pa ng General na ipinarating niya sa Pangulo ang ginawang paglabag ng NPA sa idiniklara ng mga itong ceasefire. Ito ay dahil sa mga isinagawa nila mga pag-atake. Subalit wala pa aniyang sagot ang Pangulo ukol dito.
We have reported at least 2, but there were others in other places also. Siguro mga 4.
Kaugnay nito, prioridad aniya ng sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas na mapigilan ang insurgency sa buong bansa.
The team leader of policemen involved in the Mandaluyong shooting spent the night at the city's police office after turning herself in. Police officials say there's no special treatment for Senior Inspector Maria Cristina Vasquez. Our senior correspondent David Santos reports.
Hours after turning herself in on Tuesday, Police Senior Inspector Maria Cristina Vasquez spent the night at the Mandaluyong Police Office evading the media.
Hanggat maaari, sir, sabi niya, ayokong magpa-interview.
Vasquez is head of both the station's mobile patrol unit and the women and children's desk. On the night of the shooting, she was the staff duty officer. She was also the team leader of the December 28 botched operation that killed 2 people mistaken as crime suspects. Her superiors say she appeared disturbed after the incident, so she hid for a few days.
Medyo nagkaroon lang ng konting kaguluhan sa pag-iisip kasi nga ang pagkakaalam niya sinusunod lang naman niya yung kanyang trabaho.
Police officials insist there's no special treatment for Vasquez, even as they say they do not consider her a criminal and refuse to release her service records. Mandaluyong police officer in charge says Vasquez is a hard-working, strict disciplinarian with no bad record. In contrast, Vasquez's team members were reprimanded before the media and were detained following inquest proceedings. Barangay Tanod and shooting suspect Gilbert Gulfo is also still at large. His daughter says she has yet to hear from him since the incident.
Wag naman husgahan kasi hindi naman nila alam kung ano yung totoong nangyari.
But his family also wants Gulfo to surrender as well so he can clear his name. Barangay officials are reaching out to him.
Ang problema kasi natatakot siya. So sabi ko kung kinakailangan ako magsundo para naman matapos na to, yun nga, nakikipag-communicate siya sa amin at sa mga kaibigan namin na kasama niya.
Despite the flack they're getting, the Mandaluyong police say their morale remains high. While lapses may be attributed to, quote, human factors, they insist there was no criminal intent in carrying out their duties. Autopsy results show the 2 victims died of multiple gunshot wounds. One of them, Jonalyn Ambaon, would have been shot at close range. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Survivors of the shooting incident and the families of those who died want to file charges against the policemen and Tanod involved. Speaking to our chief correspondent Pia Ontiveros, NAPOLCOM Vice Chairman Rogelio Casurao says they have new information from the survivors.
The survivors of that shooting incident, including the relatives of the 2 fatalities, went to the office to lodge a formal complaint for administrative infraction.
Okay.
Now, there were
against the 10-11 policemen.
Yes, and the Tanod, of course.
And okay.
From our conversation, because they are now being attended to by our investigators, the NAPOLCOM, I think they're still in the office now getting all these affidavits. I heard a lot of information from them which is not contained in the earlier reports coming from the media and even from the pronouncement of the Mandaluyong police. So I'm trying to dovetail now the stories coming out in the media and the ones being narrated to us, shared by these people.
And you will share that with us now, sir?
I am afraid I cannot because we are supposed to be neutral now because we are acting as the quasi-judicial body that will ultimately investigate this case.
Yes, but
I might be preempting.
Okay.
I'd rather say that what has been made public so far are true accounts of what happened. But I think the picture is not complete because of these revelations given to me and shared by these complainants that went to our office.
In other news, 8 people, including 4 children, died while 5 others were wounded in a vintage bomb explosion in Barangay Guban, Siraway, Zamboanga del Norte. Initial reports revealed a lumber worker found the bomb by the roadside and brought it to the bunkhouse. The worker hammered the vintage bomb that caused it to explode, causing the death of neighbors and family members. Some victims were declared dead on arrival in the hospital. Authorities are investigating if the bomb was planted and who was behind it. The Trade Department clarifies the new tax reform law's impact on prices of basic goods. Our senior correspondent Cecil Ardezabal reports.
The Trade Secretary personally checks retail prices in the wake of fears the tax reform law will jack up prices of basic goods. Secretary Ramon Lopez made the rounds in some supermarkets in Metro Manila.
So far, wala kayo natanggap na sula, no? So,
ang stocks nyo, good for how long? Ang buffer?
Ang pinaka-buffer po namin is umabot lang po kami ng mga 14 days. Ganun po.
Lopez says the new tax law's impact should happen not now, but in 2 to 3 weeks from January 1. And it should only be minimal, up to 4 centavos in the case of instant noodles, regular canned sardines, a 25-gram of coffee, meatloaf, and detergent soap. Up to 10 centavos for a pack of 10 pieces of pandesal, powdered milk, evaporated milk, corned beef, and toilet soap. Up to 14 centavos for loaf bread and condensed milk, and 1 peso 57 centavos for a 40-kilogram cement bag. Retail prices are stable as of now.
walang nag-a-adjust ng SRP. Walang abiso na 30 days from now ay mag-i-increase sila. So,
we expect na kahit na 5 centavos, wala pa magtataas.
Wala. Sa ngayon, wala.
The higher fuel tax should have a small impact on agricultural products as well. Trade officials say retailers and supermarket owners should notify consumers ahead of any price adjustments. But Lopez said the price increase may not even happen given the minimal impact of the new tax law on prices of basic commodities.
Kaya wag ho silang matakot yung mga nananakot na tataas ng 2 piso, 5 piso. Hindi ho. Punta sila sa mga key accounts. Maraming alternative eh. And as we notice also, may tindahan na mas murang magbenta below SRP.
The Trade Department is open to receive reports of profiteering through its consumer hotline 751-3233 and 0917-834-3330 and its Advocacy Bureau at 751-0384. Profiteers will be fined up to 1 million pesos depending on the gravity of the offense. Cecil Ardezabal, CNN Philippines.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue is confident it can rise up to the challenge of collecting more taxes now that the tax reform law is in effect. The BIR will have to collect more than 2 trillion pesos this year, up 11.5% from its target in 2017. BIR Commissioner Cesar Dulay says he's confident the Bureau can beat its performance last year, but he admits it will be more difficult since there will be new taxes and new rates to enforce.
Well, we have to do more enforcement. We have to work more. My figures for 2017 are not bad at all. It's more than, the growth rate is higher than 2016.
The BIR will hold a public consultation on January 11 and 12 to discuss the new taxes and how they will be implemented. They want to release the implementing rules and regulations for the train law before the end of the month so people can start to prepare their accounting. We're hearing from the manufacturer of the anti-dengue vaccine, Dengvaxia. Sanofi Pasteur says it's complying with the government order to ban the sale of the vaccine for 1 year. Sanofi says it received notification from the Food and Drug Administration last December 29th. Based on the notification, Sanofi says the suspension is linked to an alleged failure to comply with post-marketing requirements and is not linked to the product profile. The company says it will continue to comply with laws and regulations. Yesterday, the FDA said it created a task force to look into all records on Dengvaxia. Controversy hounds the vaccine after Sanofi earlier said it could cause severe dengue to those who had no previous infection. Phoenix Petroleum gets the green light from the Philippine Competition Commission to acquire the local franchise of Family Mart. Under the deal, the Davao-based oil company will wholly own the convenience store chain. The PCC says the acquisition does not lessen competition in the convenience store industry. The antitrust body adds it will not harm the interest of consumers. 5 days before the traslación, it's not only the church and authorities who are preparing for one of the biggest events in the country, but also the so-called hijos who will assist during the procession. Anjo Alimario has more.
The lifeless body of Renato Gurion was caught on camera being brought down from the andas during the traslación in 2015. Gurion, a member of the Hijos de Nazareno, Nuestro Padre Jesus Nazareno, died of a heart attack. Zaldi Bernabe, head of the group of Hijos to which Gurion belonged, doesn't want a repeat of what happened.
Kung merong pong nararamdaman na may sakit, kung maaari, wag na pong sumama sa prosesyon.
More than 1,000 Hijos will assist during the procession. Their role is crucial as they guide millions of devotees. Getting hurt, Bernabe says, is part of it.
Bilang deboto po, natural na po yun. Kasama po sa pagiging deboto po namin. Pangalagaan yung mga membro at mamamasan.
Preparing for a traslasyon goes beyond the physical aspect.
Anda na naman ng mga iyos natin, so siguro sila yung mga iba po dyan, nagkakaroon na ng pagpapahinga sa sarili. Kasi meron naman tayong silang individual, nagpapahinga na yan. So kami naman sa mga iyos, spiritually, handa na.
And in cases of emergency, all hospitals in Manila will be on white alert.
Antayin lang namin just in case may nakita kami during the procession na kailangan pa po siya i-raise to code blue, which means all staff na nandoon automatic kailangan bumalik ay takalikan.
There will be a gun ban.
All permits to carry will be temporarily suspended for the entire city of Manila.
A liquor ban will be imposed within the 500-meter radius of the route, including Quirino Grandstand and Quiapo Church. There's also an appeal to make the traslasyon trash-free.
Kung maaari, wag na magkalat at wag dumura, wag manigarilyo sa kung saan-saan. Iwasan din yung pagbili ng mga may plastic container at disposable na packaging.
The city government of Manila has announced that classes in all levels will be suspended, both in public and private schools. There's also no work at the City Hall except for departments involved in the event. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
Entertainment news now. Actress Liza Soberano, named the most beautiful face of 2017, turns 20 today. She celebrates her birthday with the other half of the Liz Can Love team, Enrique Hill, in Madrid, Spain. The rumored couple has been spotted in the Spanish capital since New Year's Eve, together with Hill's family. On Instagram, Hill posted a sweet birthday message for Soberano. He called his on-screen partner, quote, "my forever." The actor goes on by telling Soberano, quote, "you fill the gaps in my life with your love, simplicity, and kindness. Seeing you smile makes me feel completely and genuinely happy." He also promised to make her smile for the rest of his life. On Instagram stories, Hill says, quote, "happy birthday, baby. I love you more than anything in the world." Very sweet. Singer Taylor Swift dominates 2017 album sales. Actress Olivia Munn takes the stage this award season. And actor Bruce Willis stars in a remake of a 70s action film. CNN's Rick Damigella has it all in tonight's Hollywood Minute.
I don't like your perfect crime.
Taylor Swift tops 2017. Variety reports the singer's latest album, Reputation, led last year with 1.9 million units in pure album sales, one of only 2 albums released last year to break the million-unit mark.
Hi, how are you?
Award season news, Olivia Munn takes the stage. The LA Times reports the actress has been signed to host next week's Critics' Choice Awards. Munn will be seen on the big screen this year in Ocean's 8 and Shane Black's reboot of The Predator.
If a man really wants to protect what's his, he has to do it for himself.
Here's a sneak peek at Bruce Willis in Death Wish, a remake of the 1974 action flick starring Charles Bronson. The movie is directed by Eli Roth and stars Willis as a doctor-turned-vigilante after his family is assaulted in their home. Death Wish hits movie screens March 2nd. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
A rare U.S. television event is getting people talking online. Our Mention Makapagal has that story and the lowdown of reactions from social media.
The crossover of two hit US TV series is finally happening. ABC has confirmed How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal will have overlapping episodes. Now that means we will see the characters of Annalise Keating and Olivia Pope share the small screen for the very first time. The two lead stars also teased fans about the project. On Instagram, How to Get Away with Murder lead star Viola Davis posted this photo of herself on the White House set of Scandal. She even tagged Scandal star Kerry Washington in it. Washington answered by sharing her photo from a courthouse corridor featured on How to Get Away with Murder. But it didn't stop there. Scandal creator Shonda Rhimes gave netizens a sneak peek at the script of the crossover. This Twitter user says he is shaking after hearing the news because fans have been asking for it for such a long time now. Another one calls the TV event, quote, beyond amazing. This netizen was simply shocked and excited for the crossover. Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder return with new episodes